Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into some pivotal events in American history that you probably didn't learn about in school. These events shaped the nation in profound ways, yet they remain largely overlooked. So, get ready to explore some truly fascinating and occasionally unsettling corners of the American experience. Understanding them helps us understand the complex, messy, and often contradictory tapestry that is American history. By bringing them into the light, we not only enrich our understanding of the past, but also gain a clearer perspective on the challenges and opportunities we face in the present. Let's get started. So, picture this. It's 1848. The United States is still a relatively young nation, grappling with its identity. And for women, well, their identity was largely defined by their relationship to men. They couldn't vote, had limited property rights, and access to education and professions was severely restricted. Enter Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott, two powerhouses of the abolitionist movement. Their experience within that movement was formative for their turn towards women's rights. Fast forward 8 years, and that seed blossoms into the Seneca Falls Convention in upstate New York. The centerpiece of the convention was the Declaration of Sentiments, a document brilliantly penned by Stanton. It deliberately mirrored the Declaration of Independence, stating, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal." The most controversial resolution, the demand for the right to vote, narrowly passed after an impassioned speech by Frederick Douglass. The immediate public reaction to Seneca Falls was largely one of ridicule and scorn. But for those who were there, it was an electrifying moment, a line in the sand. It marked the true beginning of the organized women's rights movement in America. Alright, let's shift gears from social reform to the often brutal world of economics. The Panic of 1837. This was an economic cataclysm that shook the young American Republic to its core and had lasting repercussions. President Andrew Jackson, distrustful of centralized banking, had dismantled the Second Bank of the United States, redirecting federal funds into various state-chartered banks. This, combined with easy credit and a land boom, created an economic bubble just waiting to pop. In 1836, Jackson issued the Specie Circular, requiring payment for government land to be in gold or silver. When the panic hit in May 1837, it hit hard. Banks in New York City suspended specie payments, triggering a chain reaction across the country. Hundreds of banks failed, businesses went bankrupt, and unemployment soared. The political fallout was immense, with President Martin Van Buren bearing the brunt of the public's anger. The Panic of 1837 fueled intense debates about the role of government in the economy. It's a reminder that financial stability is not a given, and that the policies of one era can have profound and often unforeseen consequences for the next. February 1945. World War II in Europe is nearing its end. Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin meet in Yalta to plan post-war Europe. Germany will be divided and demilitarized. They also plan the United Nations. Yalta becomes a symbol of the Cold War. Let's rewind the clock to colonial America, to South Carolina, in 1739. This was a society built fundamentally on the brutal institution of chattel slavery. In South Carolina, enslaved Africans constituted a significant majority of the population. The Stono Rebellion, the largest slave uprising in the British mainland colonies prior to the Revolution, erupted in this tense environment. The rebellion began on Sunday, September 9, 1739, near the Stono River. Led by an enslaved man named Jemmy, a group of about 20 enslaved Africans broke into a store, killed the two storekeepers, and armed themselves. Their plan was to march south towards Spanish Florida, gathering more followers along the way. The colonists quickly reacted, and a heavily armed planter militia confronted the rebels. The retribution was swift and brutal, with many rebels executed. The immediate consequence was the passage of the Negro Act of 1740, tightening control over the enslaved population. Despite its brutal suppression, the Stono Rebellion holds profound significance as a powerful demonstration of the organized resistance of enslaved people. It's a stark reminder that the history of slavery in America is also a history of resistance. Let's journey to the rugged coal fields of West Virginia in August 1921. Life for coal miners was incredibly harsh, living in company towns and often paid in scrip. Safety conditions in the mines were abysmal, and any attempts to organize were met with fierce resistance. The Battle of Blair Mountain was the culmination of years of escalating conflict in the West Virginia mine wars. Thousands of enraged and armed miners decided to march south to free imprisoned Union miners. This led to the largest armed labor uprising in United States history. For about 5 days, an estimated 10,000 to 15,000 armed coal miners clashed with a smaller force of deputies, state police, and private guards. The standoff ended when President Warren G. Harding sent in federal troops. In the aftermath, hundreds of miners were indicted, and the United Mine Workers of America suffered a significant setback. The Battle of Blair Mountain highlighted the brutal conditions faced by American workers and the extreme lengths to which corporations would go to prevent unionization. Over time, events like Blair Mountain helped build momentum for labor reforms. It remains a powerful testament to the courage and desperation of working people fighting for dignity and justice. Now let's turn our attention to the Green Corn Rebellion of August 1917 in rural Oklahoma. The Wilson administration passed the Selective Draft Act, requiring men to register for military service. In Oklahoma, anti-war sentiment ran deep among impoverished tenant farmers and marginalized communities. Organizations like the Industrial Workers of the World and the Socialist Party had gained traction. A plan began to form a march on Washington, D.C. to stop the war. The rebellion itself was disorganized and ultimately futile. Several hundred individuals gathered, cut telegraph wires, burned bridges, and engaged in minor skirmishes. The authorities responded swiftly, and the rebellion was crushed within days. Hundreds of suspected participants were arrested and convicted. The Green Corn Rebellion offers a glimpse into the deep-seated anti-war sentiment and class tensions in rural America during World War I. It's a poignant episode that highlights the desperation of marginalized groups and the harshness with which their dissent was met. The American melting pot narrative often hides the violent reality faced by non-European immigrants. Chinese immigrants faced severe racism, culminating in the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. This was accompanied by brutal violence, like the Rock Springs Massacre. Uncovering this history is crucial for understanding Chinese-American experiences. It's a reminder that America's history includes brutal exclusion and erasure. Let's delve into one of America's oldest and most enduring mysteries, the fate of the Roanoke Colony, often dramatically dubbed the Lost Colony. We're going back to the late 16th century, to the very earliest English attempts to establish a permanent settlement in North America. The most famous attempt was the colony established in 1587 on Roanoke Island. This group of around 117 men, women, and children was led by Governor John White. Shortly after their arrival, the colony found itself in dire need of supplies, and White returned to England to gather provisions. Due to the war with Spain, it wasn't until August 1590, a full 3 years later, that John White was able to return to Roanoke Island. What he found was an eerie emptiness, with the colonists simply gone. The only clues left behind were cryptic carvings, Croatoan and CRO. Theories abound about what happened to the colonists, but the mystery remains unsolved. The Lost Colony remains a haunting enigma, a story of vanished hopes that has captivated the American imagination for centuries. It's a powerful reminder of the challenges and uncertainties faced by the earliest settlers in America. In 1912, Lawrence, Massachusetts, a major textile center, faced grim working conditions and rampant child labor. The Bread and Roses strike began when a new law cut workers' pay. Polish women weavers walked out, sparking a massive strike of 20,000 workers. The industrial workers of the world organized the strike, demanding bread and roses. The strike ended in victory, marking a landmark in American labor history. Finally, let's consider the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, also known as the Hart-Celler Act. This act abolished the national origins quota system, which heavily favored immigrants from Northern and Western Europe. The Hart-Celler Act introduced a new system based on preferences for family reunification and valuable skills. The consequences were far more dramatic than anticipated, with the primary sources of immigration shifting to Asia, Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East. This led to a significant transformation of America's ethnic, racial, and cultural landscape. The silent shift refers to how these demographic changes occurred gradually, year by year, remaking the face of the nation. The long-term impact of the Hart-Celler Act is immense and still unfolding. It has made the United States a far more diverse country, enriching its culture and intellectual life. It has also led to new social and political dynamics, debates about multiculturalism, and the definition of American identity. The 1965 Immigration Act inadvertently set in motion one of the most significant demographic transformations in American history. It's a powerful example of how legislation can have far-reaching and often unforeseen consequences. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating insights into history. Let us know in the comments which event surprised you the most. Each story we've touched on today offers a crucial piece of the puzzle that is America. Learning about these events doesn't just change our understanding of the past, it fundamentally alters how we see the present. The past is never dead, as Faulkner said, it's not even past. Thanks again for joining us.